My name is Jan Nolan, and I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here. We're sending our love out to Reverend Amani, who is still taking some time off. And today we're blessed to have Kenneth Winfrey give a message on study and the 4 agreements. He is the president of our leadership council. Now, in studying, we are talking about study today, and there's many ways to study spiritually. One of the ways I have studied, I read a lot, but before I found Science of Mind over 20 years ago, I studied Buddhism very in depth. And I always loved reading Thich Nhat Hanh's work. He is a revered teacher who passed away this weekend at the age of 95, and he leaves some beautiful wisdom behind. One of the things he said, which really speaks to me because letting go is key to freedom. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. He also says, in tying together with our theme of oneness, at the core level, we are all one. We are here to awaken from our illusion of separateness. So in thinking about all the teachers that you have had over the years of your study, what gives you freedom? What connects you to oneness? I invite you to join me by going within right now and recognizing that Spirit is everywhere present, living in all of life, living in me, living in you. And that Spirit is all good, all God, all divine light, love. That Spirit fills our lives with the magic of perfection and beauty. And I know today this service is blessed by Spirit and touches each and every person here contributing to the manifestation of this message. We are all touched by the magic of love. We are all touched by the oneness that exists in this one life, this one mind. I know the Spirit unfolds perfectly. What we give here touches each and every one of us and all of you, and we are grateful for your presence today. I let it be. I let it go in love, and so it is.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Kenneth Winfrey, and I'm the president of the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living Leadership Council. It is my honor to share space with you today, as I have on other occasions. And before I begin, I want to invite us all to share in this space in a moment of centeredness. So let's close your eyes where you are and take a nice deep breath. Breathe in joy. Breathe out, releasing attachments to any other moment other than now, or any other task other than being. Take a breath in again, breathing in now. And then release that breath, knowing that this is a moment for which you can express your greatest gratitude. The next breath, let's breathe in oneness. And as we breathe out, we know that the space between us on earth is infinitesimal on the scale of the universe in which we live. I invite you to know this breath, and I invite you to know with me this gratitude for the manifestation of our highest good today by saying, and so it is. Thank you so much for having me. Today, what I'm sharing with you is a tool that I created that I feel makes me a better student of the science of mind. It also helps me to be a better social worker. I have likened this to a grain of rice as a tool, in that it starts off small and then grows to make a huge difference. In my mind, it was caught there like a grain of rice, and I had a lot of difficulty sharing it at first. It was a mirror, and the mirror provided to me was really clear. It was sort of like Hubble. Each time I share it, I have to bow to some level of insight, because what I have to share today is about practice. It's not about a certification or something that we can call finished at. And I'm also very inspired by the four agreements. So the tool that I've created today is definitely related to the four agreements as well. If you don't know, the four agreements are to be impeccable with your word, always do your best, don't make assumptions, and don't take anything personally. So I'm going to say those again. Be impeccable with your word, always do your best, don't make assumptions, and don't take anything personally. Now, those are four short sentences, but as a lot of people are probably thinking right now, they are the four short sentences to a very long journey of practice, and a practice that most of us tend to maintain and keep up for a number of years. When we are looking at being impeccable with our word, we want to understand that our word relates to who I am and where I am and what I'm saying back to spirit. So anything containing a reference to myself as I can be the most impeccable of my word. And it's my feedback to spirit on the status of my experience. Now, I'm the only person who can provide that unique experience. That's what gives each of us our own worth, is that we each possess a unique perspective. And what comes after each of us for I am is very personal. No one else can speak to that truth for us. And spirit hears what it is that we say when we say I am. And when we are speaking for others, we have to be very careful about that. So our first intention is to grow in an understanding of what comes after I am, to grow in this knowledge of self that is a meaning of who I am in a moment. And it is a call out to where I'm going and what it is that I intend for myself, because I have put I am as a statement in front of it. Now, the next agreement is always do your best. With this one, I think we often are confused as we live in a competitive society. We might read always do the best, and that can change. We recognize that our best reflects our reputation, it reflects our heritage, it reflects who we seek to be, it reflects our abilities. And at the same time, it also reflects our disabilities, and our disabilities can come and go. Sometimes I'm effective when I've done my best, and that's when I feel most able. And then sometimes I'm ineffective when I've done my best. And that seems to be times when I feel like I'm less able. And part of what we're going to talk about here is how to learn to see that as just a part of the process of love and service as law. So as we're focused around love and service as law, then we're not trying to help a weak world. We're not trying to fix a broken one. We are acting in service and acting as love as service, as a law for ourselves that sets the pace for the things that we do, for the intentions that we make. When we are using our language to describe who we are, we can begin with an image sort of like this spiral. And we can know that we can spiral into impeccability, or we can spiral out of impeccability or out of control. with what we are faced with in our own minds. So as we take a look at this, we can see where I am is in the middle. This is my most impeccable moment. This is my opportunity, my best opportunity to speak impeccably, is what I say when I say I am. If I say you are, then I'm setting myself up. I've made an assumption about you. If I say you are hungry, you get to say, no, I'm not. And then we have a conversation where I get to learn more about you and when you like to eat. If I say they are not in the room. They are not available for me to have a good conversation. They are not available to defend themselves or explain themselves. So it's very difficult to know that we're being impeccable when we're speaking about they are. Some of those of you who are grammar geeks like me know that this is the first person, the second person, and the third person, right? And then when we start to entertain the notion of what could or should have been, things get even more complicated because now we're sort of in a parallel dimension where whatever we thought we wanted to be true isn't true. And we're in a position to refuse, not accept what it is that we are faced with. And as we talked about in our discussion around grief, denial is the first stage. So when we are unable to accept, we get into coulds and shoulds or what could have should have been. And it's a difficult position to be in. It sort of leaves us feeling like a square peg in a round hole. So we declare that I'm a square peg in a round hole. Okay, well, that's one question. Now, if I start to ask why, I might come up with some interesting answers, but I'm more interested in how I became faced with a round hole as a square peg. Because, I could be somewhere else. And I'm not feeling very grateful about the situation that I'm in with the square peg and a round hole. I am not happy. But what I wanted was this, right? So now the word but represents one dimension of reality, while what was on the other side of but represents something else. And what really separates them is my lack of acceptance. And I can face the situation being open to learn, or I can face the situation seeing it as a problem that I want to destroy. But I am not, okay? I can notice that I'm a square peg at a round hole. I can notice that I might be somewhere else. And I can be thankful that I'm aware of where I am and that I have opportunity to create change and to change direction or to change my perspective, which can be really important. And instead of saying, but, I'm going to allow what remains on both sides of this situation to be connected by the word and. I am a square peg at a round hole. I might be standing in front of a square hole. I am seeking a square hole. I'm open to the experience of now a match for myself, a compatible match for myself. So transforming that should is really impossible. Reverend Patrick used to say, don't should on people, it's impolite. And most importantly, don't should on yourself. And I just thought that was really hilarious because it's so important that we, remember how many times we sort of impose our vision on another person, making an assumption that we know what's best for them or an assumption for somebody who isn't even in the room, right? When we transform that to from I should eat less, which during this winter and during some of the isolation we've experienced, I can say I might eat less, and that I will eat less. Or I can really embrace the idea and just declare now, I am eating less. I am eating less at my next meal. I am eating less tomorrow. I'm eating less today. I am begins the stem of something very powerful that I can take from the moment that I stand. I say, I will eat less. Well, that leaves anybody listening sort of vague about when I'm going to do that. And when I say I should eat less, it really doesn't inform what my intentions are. It's just a representation of me being violent on myself, telling myself that even though I eat quantity A, I should eat quantity B. And then I try to fit myself into a plate that's too small or into a pot that's too large. So what we want to do is to declare what we are calling forth and say, I am eating less. Okay. And we want to also see the opportunity to state these words in their simplest form. So when we add ed to a word, it can be kind of tricky. I'm frustrated. Well, that means you frustrated me or they frustrated me. So we want to look at how we're using our language to really name what we feel and what we do. We also want to transform our violent language into creation. So again, this square peg with a round hole doesn't have to be a problem, okay? We can work on this problem as service to one another to support each other's highest good. You're round, I'm square. Hey, let's see if we can provide a referral. Let's see if we can make a connection to some people we know that might have something resonant, or at the very least, we might make this an opportunity to seek clarity with one another. Somehow we found ourselves in one another's space in an unexpected way. So rather than just declaring we're square peg, round hole, it's not going to work, this is a problem that has to be eliminated by either forcing you to be more round or forcing me to be more square, whatever, it's going to be sidestepping the opportunity for clarity and awareness. Now, clarity might mean I need to be a little bit more well-rounded, right? I need to round my edges, not be so sharp. And maybe the circle says, you know what, I might firm things up a little bit so that I can filter things that are coming my way. And we might even learn from those things that we see as a problem because of the contrast, because they're unexpected, because they're things that we've never seen before. That's what we're going to want to be able to see. So we can transform our language from kill two birds with one stone to catching two birds with one net. We can transform our language from catching and capturing to setting things free, to freeing two birds at one time, to allowing both things, even though they might be opposed, to sit and stand next to each other in harmony, in a way that's complementary, and in a way that doesn't ask us to step outside of our authenticity. Because when I'm outside of my authenticity, it's very difficult for me to be impeccable with my word. And it's very difficult to know what my best is if I'm not feeling that I've made room for myself, made room for me to be who I am, as well as for me to grow, and for those who are around me to grow as well. This language can be very powerful because just like we would use the phrase kill two birds with one stone as a habit, we use a lot of language that may be habitual and that might actually be violent towards ourselves, might be violent towards other people. It may also be a distraction because none of my power is in telling you what to do or trying to make you do anything. None of my power is certainly in what I'm trying to make them do, even though I don't know who they are, which I think there's a lot of them in our lives in social media now. And we don't have a lot of power there. When we talk about what could or should be, then that's actually where the universe actually was over here. And then we decided that we needed to be over here. And so there's absolutely no power in that. And then when we talk about what could or should have been in the past, we're being very aggressive with ourselves because there's absolutely nothing we can do to change that. And we really do make ourselves a square peg faced with a round hole. And we start to try to catch and destroy the things around us in order to compensate for a lack of centeredness and acceptedness. Now, the word they is a very powerful word in our language. It's become more powerful recently as it's used by people who are non-binary in their identification as gender. We might believe that there are only two genders, and that's not true. And so they, as a term, often refers to people in the place of he or she. And so we would say, I identify as Kenneth. My name is Kenneth. I use they, them pronouns. So as Kenneth, myself personally, I use he, his pronouns. I actually have a lot of fun and have friends who call me by all pronouns probably. And I enjoy that as well. My first impetus in my own identification with myself is they and is he. And if someone refers to me as they, my impulse is to accept it, not to question it. And that is because I don't assume what it is that works for other people. So I'm listening for what they're offering. And that goes along with the four agreements of not making assumptions. I think the term they really does invite us to revisit assumptions in more ways than one. When we're talking about they as those who aren't in the room with us, we're making assumptions about them. And when we are talking with people who identify with they, them pronouns, it's often after they have faced some assumptions about who they are. So to assume about someone is really to try to put their square peg in the round hole of my own assumptions. So what do we do to practice using this tool, right? Well, I thank you, right? That is one way of using I am thankful for you. That is me saying I'm going to be with what is. I'm knowing that I am too. So that's diunital, which is that replacing but with and. We call that diunital instead of dichotomous, which is a but or. Building a beloved community means acknowledging these realities and all of them that we live in as whole, okay, because they are here. When we say perfect, it doesn't mean that it's a checklist off of the things that I would want that are perfect, but it does mean I can trust in this reality. So this reality is trustworthy and it's complete, meaning that I am not invited to this moment to try to destroy anything or to refuse anything, that it is my opportunity to accept them. So that diunital attitude always is able to reconcile the good, the bad, and the ugly as all a part of that whole perfect and complete moment as ours to be present to and to see our place in it all. We have to be willing to turn within and see what's ours to undo, release, or claim and embody. So we can use I am to do that in our process of creating what Amani has termed the beloved community. I am present. I am listening. I am hearing. I am feeling. I am thinking. I am releasing fear. I am releasing shame. I'm releasing guilt. We can release all of these things. Shame and guilt are powerful things to release. And then we can come back to, I am grateful for you. I am grateful for the experience of transformation that I had from guilt to liberation. I am grateful for them in that I'm grateful for my ancestors. I'm grateful for all the people that have come before me that helped to make a way for my life. I'm grateful for my mother, my father, my family. I'm grateful for all of the good things that are occurring. I'm grateful for there to be success in making advances in medicine, healthcare, that our society is coming to hopefully learn more about what it means to be compassionate through its obstacles, through the obstacles and trials that our current health situation has presented to us. And so I'm grateful for all those negative things as they are changing as well. So I'm in no position to deny anything. I can be in oneness with all that is, even as I am in service as love to create transformation for what might be. Okay. That is how we use this language to create and how we use this language to name and claim that which we wish to embody. This capacity to say I am means that I am naming this place where spirit lives in me. I am labeling it with whatever comes after I am. Okay. So I say I am purple, which is a wonderful thing for me. That's great. I feel good. I feel good when I say I am purple. Even if I'm not purple, I say I feel good because I can use it to describe maybe a mood or an attitude, right? So I make my intention with what I believe should be. So we don't want to throw away anything, right? I'm not destroying the words could or should either. I'm just showing us how if we use those ideas differently and use language around them differently, it feels more powerful. So if I feel that I should be something, then, or if I feel I should have been something, then I'll say, well, then I should be it now. I might be that now. Maybe they will be a part of that with me. Maybe it starts with you and I. So all of my treatments, all of my dreams, all of the realizations that I can conjure up come from a should, come from something that might look like a should. And my realization is how I'm bringing that in from outside of me, from a notion of it being outside of me, into the realization that it's already right here. My highest good is already right here. As soon as I'm thinking my highest good, it is already underway. I am eating less. I have already declared that that is what is going to happen at my next meal. My brain heard me. Spirit heard me. Everybody heard me. So I'm thankful that we can use this language in ways that we can make for a family of humanity. And we can even use them as a moment of advocacy. Okay. So if I'm going to name them, I might want to create an intention that involves me and their highest good. I am working for the highest good of the community of the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. Well, that's a you right now. But if I'm talking to a friend, that might be my statement if they're not a member of the community. So we can contemplate our dreams, our goals, and what we want in this way. And hopefully it can make for a more powerful experience of how you use your language, how you envision your highest good, how you create change for yourself, and how you imagine yourself as a part of the beloved community of the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you so much. Be blessed, and namaste.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dino, and I am a spiritual licensed practitioner here at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. For those of you that don't know me, I want to just welcome you today into this sacred space. Sometimes I close my eyes and I wonder, how did I get here? It's just such a lovely life that I live today. I remember being in the sanctuary one morning and someone from the platform used the term practitioner, and immediately I wanted to be one. I wanted whatever that was, and I didn't even know what it was. And through the following months, I inquired and I began to prepare myself for study. Practitioner 1 is 30 weeks as well as Prac 2. And I didn't care how long it was because there was something calling me. The course was just so beautiful. There were, I think, 18 of us initially. And we just got along so well and shared so deeply and learned to love even more. It was an incredible experience with Amani teaching us at the head of the table and each of us taking turns, stories about our lives as we learned spiritual principles and spiritual practices. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about the art of practice and also study. I know that when I was much younger, I planned to go away to fashion design school in Los Angeles, and I packed my car and scared little kid drove out to Los Angeles alone. And before I left, my eldest brother said, "Don't forget, Dino, you'll always be that little boy from 10th Street." And I didn't really want to be that little boy from 10th Street. But you know what? I'm still that little boy from 10th Street. Some things never change. My life was just enhanced. I eventually got a job designing menswear downtown in the produce department. So when I walked to work, I would pick up flowers at the flower mart and walk to work and get my big, beautiful vase and fill it with water and put it on the glass table on the second floor. And it was quite an interesting job, an interesting position, if you might say, because so many kids worked downstairs in the basement preparing merchandise for mailing, that kind of thing. And of course, the designers were upstairs, and we had lunch together, and life was good. And one day, the boss and some of the other designers were traveling to Europe, and so it was me in the office upstairs, and I decided that I was going to bring everyone that worked downstairs upstairs for the day. And we ordered lunch and cake, and we laughed, and we sat around and told our stories of family, and we loved deeply that day. Something has been a constant in my life. So when I traveled home for the summer, my parents were becoming elderly, if you know what I mean. When you don't see somebody in quite a while, they do appear to have aged. And I decided that my family was more important than my career in Los Angeles, so I moved home. And soon after, I found the Centers of Spiritual Living, and I found the practitioner course, and I completed it. And I was so very, very happy that I had new friends and a new life, really. And then I began to study in a different way. I began to study about things that enhanced my heart, enhanced my life in a totally different way than I ever had before. And then after a while, I got more involved, and I began to do spirit calls in the morning. And it takes me about 2 or 3 hours to prepare a spirit call for 2 minutes. And I don't necessarily know what I'm going to talk about. I usually sit in silence, as Reverend Rebecca taught us. And in the morning, and typically during the day, things start coming to mind, and I'll jot ideas down. And then all of a sudden, I sit down, and the spirit call begins to create itself. And I'm just part of that. I'm just part of that beauty, that study that has come to life. And so I try to offer stories that might make you think a little when you hear them. I don't think that they're necessarily changing the world, but they're kind of like getting on a trolley car when you're in an odd, interesting city that you're visiting, and you take a little tour around the city. That's kind of what I think my spirit calls are. But for me, it's sacred space. For me, it has allowed me to live in sacred space, to believe that life is good, that people are good, that I am loved, that you are loved. And I hope today that you take away just a little from the spirit calls that are being spoken out in the mornings. They're very important that we continue to gather the fruit of our community together by being together. And we so appreciate you being part of this sacred space that we've created this morning. Thank you so much. I wanted to just believe that you are with me in prayer, that you are with us in prayer, that we are together in prayer. At this time, if you'll join me with our closing prayer. We create a space, a field, a pond, a sacred space for our hearts and our love for one another. In gratitude, we pray that we are held in this sacred space, and those we love are here with us as well. We know the beauty of prayer. We know that prayer works. And we know that when we say prayer together, it is more powerful. We pray for the universe, for the world, for our earth, for our families, for our children, for the sweet animals of the earth. We pray for the air and the water, and for everything of every color we pray. We hold in this sacred space that has been created for us today. And we know that we are one. As we go out into our busy days, let us remember to be kind. Let us remember to hold our hand out every once in a while to those that we live with and squeeze their fingers tight, just so that we can remember this sacred space. And so it is. At this time, if you'll join me in reciting the closing affirmation, I am the morning light and the setting sun. I am love reflecting from your heart. I am. Namaste.